In Hello World tutorial logic, we have used model component as a local value holder. But what if we want to share variables with two or more logic blueprints? How to do that? It is done by referencing. Logic Forge makes it possible for us to reference almost everything that is project persistent. We can reference some prefab transform or collider by dragging it directly from Inspector panel to Logic Editor window. Or we can even reference prefab, material, motion, timeline directly from project panel to Logic Editor window. Now delete them. Let's do something useful with this new knowledge. In Hierarchy panel, create empty object, rename it to Holder, and drag it to Project panel to make it prefab. Select the prefab. In the Inspector panel, click Add Component and add Model Component. Enable it. In the bottom, click the plus sign to add variable. Choose Add Float. Parameter name window appears. Type time and press OK. In the Inspector panel, a float field named time appears. Add 5 and lock the first Inspector panel. As we can see, we have only one logic blueprint that we've used before. Now we need another one. Add new logic asset and rename it to logic_hw1.asset. Click on the sphere prefab and click on the Browse button, right of logic field in the logic component. Choose None. Then drag the newly made logic_hw1 in the logic field to assign it. Logic hw1 is still empty. Select logic_hw in the project panel. Select all components in Logic Editor and right-click to copy them. Select logic_hw1 and right-click in Logic Editor, Paste. We have copy-pasted components with their connections from one logic blueprint to another. Write and enable all components and fill values for the sphere movement as in the Hello World tutorial. As we have done that, we have two different logic blueprints assigned to two different prefabs. Hit play.
The movement is the same as when we have only one logic blueprint.
Select Cube Prefab. In the left Inspector panel, go over Model Component Title. Click and drag it to Logic Editor window. We've made a reference of that model component in logic_hw blueprint. It is a blue component box. As we can see, there is time output point on it. That's our time variable that we've added before. Do the same for Sphere Prefab and logic_hw1 blueprint. It is time to assign our time variable to interval duration of our timer component in both logic blueprints. Connect time output point of holder model component to interval duration input point of timer component. We have assigned time from holder model component to interval duration of both timer components in logic underline HW and logic underline HW1. We used the same value for both of them. In our case, if we hit play now, everything will be okay.
The objects will move because we only have one holder instance on scene. But since Unity Engine has no magic power to know which instance it should use, we need to add it manually.
Select cube instance and in timer component. We will notice that sign. If we go over it, we will see a tooltip that says Prefab found an expecting instance. Click to fix it. If we click on it, it will select first instance of that prefab in the hierarchy. In our case, the only one holder prefab instance, since we have only one instance. If there are more instances of holder prefab, so more model components, we will decide which to use by following way. Select Cube1 instance. Now drag holder instance to interval duration field of the timer component in the inspector panel. We have done it. Do the same for the sphere instance. Hit play. The movement is the same as in the Hello World basic tutorial, except the timing. All of our objects moved from start to end positions for 5 seconds, a value that we have added in the model component. Let's do something interesting. Add 1000 in time field hit play. The object moves, but too slowly for us to see that movement. Select the time field and delete the last 0. Now the movements are visible. If we delete one more 0, the movement is normal as we used to see. Hit stop. As we have seen, we can change values in runtime.